confronted my best friend about his secret obsession with me, exposed his lies to his girlfriend, and ended our toxic friendship forever. I, F28, have been friends with Blake 28 male for about 10 years now. We met when I was traveling for a new job out of state, and I kid you not immediately became best friends in the week that I was there. Same interests, great energy and conversation, we just clicked. We were friends for nearly 2 years before trying the dating thing. It lasted 3 months, important, during which Blake did not treat me well due to unresolved issues from prior relationships. Before I could end it, he decided to end it himself as he had feelings for someone else. Fine with me, we were clearly better as friends. I took some space because he hadn't been treating me well. He got into therapy and apologized for being SHT, and was willing to put in the work to regain my trust for our friendship, which he did, consistently, over the 8 years since. Fast forward to now, I'm now happily married to my wonderful husband Cam, 28M, together for 6 years, married for 2 years. Blake and I are still best friends. He and his ex after our brief dating stint broke up, and he is now with a wonderful woman Kaylee, 21F, for almost 2 years now, started dating a few months before my wedding. This is important. Kaylee and I are also good friends, she's the sweetest person. Blake also lives in the same city as me now after his mother passed, having moved down here for a better support network. His girlfriend moved in about 9 months ago. In the past 6 months or so, things have been strained with Blake. My husband is very introverted, and Blake started voicing frustration about his inability to be closer friends with Cam and feeling like he bothers Cam. He and I also started having weird tiffs, kind of subtle neg/belittling comments/ etc. Then my husband and I came over to a game night for Blake's birthday 3 months ago, during which Blake picked fights with me about very weird things, for example my career path and how I'm going about it wrong, making comments like I guess if you want to stunt yourself in life, you can do it that way, etc. Both my Cam and I were caught very off guard, and after several attempts to shut it down, made excuses and headed home. Later, Blake proceeded to send me a text asking if I was okay. BC the vibes felt off. To which I was like oh no kidding, and explained my issue. He decided to reply with an email, who uses email anymore? 8 long paragraphs about how he felt he and his experience/knowledge was dismissed in our discussion, how he felt ganged up on when Cam would defend my side, and how he felt like he can't be himself around me and Cam anymore. He also made comments voicing that he didn't feel like he could trust me. BC I tell Cam everything, not true, I always ask before sharing unless it's a danger or moral issue, and that he thinks I'm unhealthily codependent on Cam because whenever Blake and I hang out one by one I'm always calling to let Cam know how late I'll be out or check if I'm cool to pick up takeout. We're married with joint finances, sue me? I replied trying to clarify my end as well as understand where the ever-loving hell this all was coming from, but no matter how many times I tried, we kept going in circles. The emailing back and forth, during which he demanded we not meet up till this was resolved, lasted till about 2 weeks ago, when I said I needed time to think about how to reply next. About a month ago I got into therapy. BC it was seriously messing with my head and making me feel like I was a problem and like I couldn't talk to anyone about this. BC we share much of our support system. I finally broke down to my sister when she came over to see why I hadn't been answering her, or really anyone, yay anxiety, lately. She is also friends with Blake through me. I let her read the emails, and she got pretty ticked on my behalf, and then proceeded to drop a hell of a bombshell on me and Cam. Blake is apparently still in love with me and hates Cam's guts. Apparently, when she drove to pick up Blake out of state for our wedding, he was a groomsman, he confided in her and her husband that he didn't agree with the wedding and wished I would break up with Cam and give him another chance. That we're soulmates and Cam isn't the one for me. Blake has heard me talk since day one about how happy Cam makes me and how safe and loved I feel with him. My sister shut it down, but, even better, Blake proceeded to do the same thing when she drove him back home after our wedding. He ended off saying he just needed some time, so my sister kept her mouth shut. BC she knew that he's my best friend and hoped she could trust him to resolve it over time since he lived far away. Blake then moved near me about a year ago, and Kaylee moved in the August after. My husband's and my wedding anniversary is in October, and apparently Blake called my sister's husband too, again, confide that he's still in love with me and wishes I would divorce Cam. BC he would be a better husband to me while living with Kaylee, who he's told me is his soulmate. This was about when all the stress started, so she never found a good moment to bring it up. As if to ice the cake, Kaylee and I have been keeping up via text through all this. Again, we're friends. During the past few weeks, I learned some odd things. Kaylee got new piercings, reportedly encouraged by Blake to do so. BC she'd look so cute, a double nose piercing and septum, which possibly, coincidentally Blake took me to get as a post-wedding gift 2 years ago. Blake apparently has beef with the month of August and so has decided their anniversary will be in October. The reason he gave was because it's spooky month, but Cam and I started dating and got married that month. I also, at my sister's prompt, went back and checked when Blake and I broke up, August 2017. Again, possibly coincidental, but feels very odd as I don't know why else he would have an issue with that month. It's also worth noting Blake had another relationship fall apart because the girl was outright convinced Blake was cheating on her with me to the point of blasting me for weeks as some homewrecker. Cam and I always chalked it up to her insecurity, but now I'm wondering if she was just watching Blake carry on some weird, one-sided emotional affair. I love my husband more than words can say, and he makes me happier than anyone I've ever met. He's my ultimate best friend. Learning all this has made me feel so gross and like a horrible wife, though Cam has been wonderfully supportive and doesn't blame me at all. All this to say, I'm ending our friendship, but have no clue how. I feel like I have to tell Kaylee as this has all happened during their relationship and living together, and the woman deserves the world, but also recognize I have no real proof beyond spoken accounts besides the weird emails. It sounds like some wild conspiracy theory or soap opera. My therapist is on vacation, so I'm on my own after learning all this. I'm also realizing just how manipulative Blake has been for years given this context, and already feel shaky about confronting him given my serious confrontation anxiety, which he knows about and could easily try to exploit. I'm realizing more and more that he has massive control issues that I dismissed as anxiety for years. The fact that he lives so close now fills me with dread rather than joy. I want to come out of this with no regrets, knowing I stood up for myself, and that I put a decisive end to this. I want Blake to know his actions and creepy ulterior motives are the reason our decade-long friendship is dead. I've never ended a friendship myself, also a bit of an introvert, and this is basically friend breakup on steroids. How do I break this lunacy to Kaylee in a way that sounds remotely believable given the front Blake has built? I also would love some advice on how to go about telling Blake I know everything and we're absolutely done. There is no sexual past. Blake and I did not sleep together. Again, this was only a 3-month relationship. Not everyone hooks up. The most we ever did was kiss a few times upon visiting due to long distance, and again, this was 8 years ago. 2. This isn't the only friend I've briefly dated that I'm still in touch with. Hell, Kim actually does have a close friend that he also dated back when he was in college for about 6 months as well. She and I are really close as well, and Cam and I are godparents to her child. Genuinely, both of us are very secure in our relationship and don't take issue with it. We're also both into all genders, so opposite sex doesn't really mean much to us for friendships. It's all just people. 3. My sister and I are in talks over this. I didn't feel it relevant to include in post, but will here. I let her know how upset I was over her keeping this from me, and she broke down apologizing for it, and recognizes she messed up. She also has severe anxiety, and thought it had resolved until the second time Blake reached out to her husband, during which time she was going through a lot herself personally. She was intending to tell me next we spoke around the time I fell off communicating from the stress of it all. We're working through this separately. Update 1. Blake is now with Kaylee, 21F, for almost 2 years. Recently Blake and I started having weird little tiffs, and when Cam and I went to Blake's birthday game night, Blake started criticizing me during our conversations over very weird things, such as my career and how I'm going about it, etc. After Cam and I left, I got a text from Blake asking why the vibes were off, and I voiced the issue. Blake responded with a long email about how he felt dismissed, tread on, disrespected, etc. This turns into nearly 4 months of emailing back and forth and self-isolation from the anxiety of it all, during which I started therapy. I finally talked to my sister about it, who revealed that on the way to and from my wedding Blake had told her that he was still in love with me, disagreed with the marriage, and wished I'd give him another chance, etc. He then said he just needed time to process, so my sister didn't disclose this to me when it happened, thinking he'd move on. She agrees. This was not the best move, but we're okay. She then discloses that Blake did the same thing on my wedding anniversary in October, reaching out to her husband with the same concerns. She was going to tell me at the time, but life blew up, as life does. By the time she was able to do so, I wasn't talking to much of anyone. When she told me and Cam this, in addition to other sketchy details I recently learned from Kaylee, I immediately knew I was ending the friendship because he clearly saw us as or wanted something more. For those concerned about my husband and all this, Cam knew about my and Blake's dating stint from the start. Cam also has friends who he has similarly dated. This is not an issue for us, despite Reddit's objections, and he has been aware and involved in everything that's happened, both in my OG post and this update and beyond. My husband found y'all's negative comments absolutely hilarious, and told me to tell any who are concerned I love and trust my wife, and if someone has an issue with it, that's a you problem, bucko. Now that that's aside. The update, I decided to talk to Kaylee after all. I asked to meet up and treated her to coffee and pastries, and then disclosed everything I knew. She listened, even reaching over to hold my hand when she saw me shaking, and thanked me for telling her. In short, she has decided to stay with Blake for now, but is moving forward with this in mind, as is her right to decide. She wants to stay friends with me, and fully understands that I want nothing to do with Blake and why, as well as to not share any info about me with him, and that there will be some distance for a bit. This is where y'all might yell at me. But I did confront Blake in person. This was mostly due to the fact that I wanted to get it out of the way right after talking to Kaylee without raising alarm bells, and meeting up under the guise of talking it out in person was the easiest way to do that. My husband went with me, though the conversation was just between Blake and myself. I took several safety precautions as well, such as secretly recording the interaction. Initially, Blake started in on classic Darvo, saying he didn't remember saying those things to my sister, etc., and then remembered certain things but in different contexts. He even tried spinning it back on me several times. I shut all that down as well as any excuses/justifications given, and firmly landed my point that regardless of intent or reasoning, his actions are wildly inappropriate and inexcusable. After dismantling enough of the excuses, he actually offered several apologies owning up to his actions. Whether he meant them or not, I don't know nor care, but it was semi-cathartic for sure. He insists everything with Kaylee is coincidental, but either way that is between them at this point. The conversation ended with him saying he didn't want to lose our friendship. That he was willing to take a friendship break for a bit, establish better/firmer boundaries. That he feels he's in a better place to be more honest. That now, he was aware of the issue and would pay more care in not breaking my boundaries. I shut him down, saying that ship sailed long ago, and it shouldn't have to take me saying I'm done for him to put effort into respecting me. He then said he'd respect my decision to end our friendship, but begged me to at least keep an open mind at possible future reconciliation. I was pretty much done at this point and told him flat out that these are the consequences of his own actions, that I can never trust anything he says or does ever again, and that even if in some alternate universe I was open to that, he would be an acquaintance, and certainly would never ever be my best or even close friend again. He went quiet and teary-eyed after this, I assume because he knew things were coming to a close. I stood up, he asked me for one last hug. I said no, reached out to shake his hand, and left without looking back. Which felt kind of badass. Until I got down the block and round the corner and had the panic attack that had been looming all day lol. Win some, lose some. Overall though, I think this went as well as it could have. I'm not letting my guard down yet, just in case, but it's a relief that it's finally, seemingly, resolved. Admittedly, I'm not doing great, but I know I will be okay. Cam helped me realize I'm basically mourning the death of a decade-long friend. While Blake himself may not be dead, the Blake I knew is, so I'm trying to give myself some grace in processing through this. Cam has decided tonight is reserved for tacos, cake, and video games together for some dopamine, and we're both calling into work tomorrow after this chaos. Thank you again to all those who offered kindness and support on my last post. I don't think I would have had nearly the confidence and composure I had today if not for you all. May your pillow always be nice and cold, your food the perfect temperature, and your life full of joy and peace. Update 2. If you thought things were dramatic before, buckle up, because I may have stumbled straight into grade A Lifetime movie territory, except with more cats, group chats, and a truly wild chain of events. So, I thought I was out. I did everything right, amicable enough closure, clear boundaries, even a handshake, the coldest one of my life. I've eaten roughly my body weight in tacos and cake, and Cam is currently petitioning to make Supportive Spouse Taco Tuesday an official monthly holiday. I was okay. Not great, not terrible, just processing, and genuinely expecting a lull. That was so naive I almost envy past me, but Blake, apparently, cannot take a closed door as an exit and just kept knocking. At first it was subtle, a few texts to Cam, ignored, then individually to some mutual friends. Each one was along the lines of I just want to explain my side. Or can you help me understand what I did wrong? Or, my personal favorite, I'm worried I might have hurt her, can you check on her? Sir, I do not need to be wellness checked by the man I cut off for boundary stomping. At first, Cam and my friends all kindly shut him down, but then it started getting weirder. Mutual friends now approached me about Blake's version of events. Not only was he texting them, he was sending his own screenshots of our old emails and the confrontation, but with confusing, cherry-picked context. In his version, Cam is toxically controlling, I am easily manipulated, and Blake just cares too much. According to him, I was coerced by Cam and my sister into abandoning someone who just wanted to protect me from my bad decisions. Even typing this out, I need to go outside and scream into the void. But things really escalated last weekend, when Kaylee texted me an SOS at 7 a.m, can we talk today? Long story short, she had just discovered, entirely on her own, a note Blake wrote her, which read, and yes, she gave me permission to share this, I keep hoping she'll remember how good we could be. I know she's stuck right now, but that can't last forever. I'm sorry you have to see this part of me. A part he apparently forgot existed on his own desk, in his handwriting, in their shared apartment. Kaylee called him out immediately. Our coffee date was the very next day. She showed up looking like she'd slept all of 90 minutes, holding a grocery sack. Inside, my own old short story, written years ago and gifted to Blake for his birthday. He'd kept it for 10 years. In it were margin notes he'd added, some recently, all about what could have been. Every scenario? Me and him as the couple instead of, well, our actual lives. If only she'd trusted me instead. Now, Kaylee was trying to stay calm, but said what finally broke her resolve was a group DM Blake started between her, me, and 3 other mutual friends. It opened with a massive post about how he's fighting for the people he loves, what he's learned in therapy, and how, you can ask, yourself, she knows we're meant for more. Y'all. An intervention. But instead of calling it a friendship recovery, he kept dropping phrases like soul bond, destined path, and my favorite, sometimes we have to save people from the cages they build together. The group chat was a bloodbath. Cam had to literally confiscate my phone to stop me from drive-by replying, but turns out Kaylee, sweet, unassuming Kaylee, delivered a masterclass in digital disembowelment. She told the group about the note, the short story, and even shared screenshots of all the times Blake had texted her that she would understand if she lost me to the girl I'm meant for. The group chat imploded. The friends he looped in, most of whom I'd drifted from due to the drama, all took our side once they saw everything. The moderator of Blake's favorite group chat server banned him for doxing a friend and trying to force a ship no one wanted. If you don't know what that means, bless you, but that's not the end. 2 days later, my old college roommate, who had never met Blake save for some group video calls, messaged me. Blake had apparently created an alt account and messaged her, asking her to help. In effect, maybe if you reached out to Op and told her how Cam has changed her, it'd get through. She listens to you. Q. Group screenshots Palooza. All of us, as a unified front, blocked every single account, deleted mutual servers, and unleashed Cam, who wrote the single most devastatingly kind but brutal message I've ever seen. Blake, I was happy to give you every chance to be part of our lives, but I will not allow you to insert yourself where you do not belong. Op and I are stronger for having survived this, but we will never engage with you again. You need help, and you need to let go. Kaylee moved out that Friday. She and I are taking space but grabbed pancakes together, because we're clinging to some normalcy while the world does its best to become a soap opera. She told her family everything. Last we heard, she blocked Blake everywhere and is staying with her cousin. For me, I feel freer. Exhausted, and honestly, still reeling, but free. Most of all, I'm relieved I trusted my gut, my friends, and my husband. I mourned Blake, the good friend I thought he was, but I'm not mourning who he really is. The truly weird part? The group chat aftermath sparked a mini renaissance among my old friends. After seeing the manipulation at play, several of my estranged friends opened up about similar experiences with Blake, and we've started to reconnect. Someone even suggested a drama-free Friendsgiving in a few months. Cam is already plotting the menu. TL, DR2, Blake tried to spin the narrative, escalate the drama, and even orchestrated a group chat intervention. Kaylee discovered receipts so clear you could eat off them. Our mutual friends all saw the light. Kaylee dumped his ass. My old friends and I are reconnecting. Cam's tacos are still undefeated, and I, for the first time in months, am breathing easier. Shout out to everyone here for the advice, tough love, and encouragement. I can honestly say I would not have navigated this with half as much spine without the Reddit brain hive at my back. Update 3. The Blake saga descends into full-on opera. When I last left you, Blake had detonated a friendship intervention group chat, written a confession note that should have gone straight into the never sent drafts folder, and Kaylee had moved out. I truly, honestly thought we'd hit the logical, if supremely bananas, end of this saga. Reader, I was wrong. I spent the first week after Pancake Summit, that's what Kaylee and I called our breakfast, in a weird combo of relief and anticipatory dread. I heard nothing from Blake except for the group exodus. He was booted off a bunch of friend platforms, blocked by most of us. Kaylee stayed with her cousin, sent me periodic texts with updates like, survived his 4 a.m. serenade attempt. He has a ukulele. Please send earplugs. I thought, surely, he'll get the hint and drop off the social radar, at least with us. Nope. Because, out of left field, he started sending individual, handwritten letters. Like, actual snail mail. I have not had mail anxiety since waiting for college acceptance letters, but here we are. Every letter had basically the same shtick: apologies, generic and oddly passive, philosophical musings about lost destiny, accusations that Cam brainwashed me, not so humble brags about his vision quest to heal, plus overtures to at least salvage the friendship circle, if not our future together. Letters showed up not just to me, but to Kaylee. Yes, he apologized for his emotional confusion, and attempted to blame her for being too supportive, which stunted his growth. You can't make this up, to my sister, and to at least 2 mutual friends. Cam's got his own, with a sticky note, hope you can forgive me, bro. Kaylee, hero that she is, took her batch of letters, photographed them, and started what she called the Blake Receipts Drive folder for safekeeping. She started joking about pitching the whole thing as an indie musical. Kaylee had a reckoning, that's the only word for it. Turns out, discovering your boyfriend's multi-year fixation on his one that got away, me, while you thought you were his soulmate, lights a fire you cannot put out. She called Blake's mom's childhood best friend, Aunt D to Blake, apparently, told her everything. D, who's been in our orbit for years, and is a mighty force of nature, think caffeine, red lipstick, and zero tolerance for nonsense, arranged what I can only describe as a family-wide group, call the next Sunday. Kaylee invited me, which is how I found myself on Zoom with Kaylee, Aunt D, Blake's cousin, 2 of Kaylee's relatives, and, unexpectedly, Blake himself, who appeared mid-call looking wild-eyed and sporting a rebirth man bun. Aunt D absolutely eviscerated him in the way only an older Southern woman can. Highlights: son, delusional romance is not spicy, it's just introspective narcissism. Kaylee deserves someone who thinks she's the plot, not just a subplot. You're not Romeo, and real-life Juliet already got her happy ending. Learn from it. He started in with the destiny talk, but D was not here for it. The call ended with her telling him to exit stage left, swiftly. Kaylee blocked him again, changed all her passwords, and is using Aunt D's guest room for the summer. We're meeting weekly at the world's most aggressively pink diner, swapping memes and emotional whiplash stories. We're trauma bonded for life, apparently. Once all the drama hit, It was like fog lifted in my wider social circle. Messages started coming in, people I'd lost touch with all sharing their own what the hell, Blake? Stories. Turns out, a friend of ours had screenshots of DMs where Blake, years earlier, tried to sow discord between us. She just tells you what you want to hear, I know her better. Etc. This wasn't just a one-time creep fest, he's been low-key sabotaging multiple friendships, possibly going back years. The big twist? One old mutual friend, who I'll call Jules, reached out to say she'd gotten an apology/guilt bomb of her own, but what stood out was the confession that sometimes I just wish she could see that no one understands her but me. Jules, I've barely spoken to this man in 3 years, what on earth is he talking about? A few other mutuals have exhausted themselves trying to rationalize or defend his recent actions. It's prompted a mini friendship cleansing for me. I've reconnected with the real ones, set crystal clear boundaries, and said a gentle but firm goodbye to anyone still running Blake's PR campaign. Turns out, losing a toxic linchpin simplifies your life, if you let it. Cam, meanwhile, has thrived in the role of emotional bodyguard. He started a drama incident response flowchart. Step 1, tacos and anime. Step 2, block. Step 3, curate memes. He sent a group text to my family and all the newly reunited friend circle. Friendly reminder, any contact, TM, from that guy gets sent straight to the incinerator, digital or actual, your choice. Double points for creative flair. Cam is now running an informal support Discord for anyone doxxed, love bombed, or generally weirded out by Blake. The group's anthem might become blocked and blessed at this rate. This will sound like satire, but it happened. Blake started a short-run podcast about forgiveness and finding your true path. He angled for guests to share their own toxic breakups/friendship loss and recovery stories. He even emailed Kaylee, myself, and, wait for it, Cam, asking each of us to share your truth and help others heal from the lies we all believed. We ignored it. But mutual friends who listened in said it was a 30-minute monologue of philosophical rambling and, allegedly, subtle name drops he thinks we wouldn't catch. Jules messaged, he just did a 7-minute bit about not getting closure from people who don't believe in destiny while eating a mango on mic. Thankfully, it lasted 3 episodes before Blake deleted it all. Happier, lighter, thriving. Last week, Cam and I hosted a game night with a bunch of rediscovered friends, and for the first time, I was able to relax and laugh for hours. Kaylee is doing shockingly well, applying for a job transfer, hooked up with a fantastic therapist, and swears off dating anyone named after a color for life. Aunt D is now honorary grandma to me and Kaylee, and occasionally DMs me Blake memes. When you marry your high school crush in your own head, not everyone is a meet cute waiting to happen. Do I still get the cringe sweats when an unknown number calls or see a white envelope in my mailbox? Yes, but I feel proud and stubbornly optimistic. I've written the last word in my own story. I'm more grateful than ever for Cam, for my real friends, and truly, for everyone who's kept me laughing through this tornado. May you all avoid awkward group interventions, and if not, may your meme game be strong. Thank you, Reddit, for the backbone, the perspective, and the virtual queso. I'm good now. And hey, if you need a taco recipe, Cam's got you covered.